Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. Today we're talking about midlife hobbies and interests. What happens once we hit midlife? How have they changed, and what do we see in our future? Let's get started. Listeners, today we're talking about midlife hobbies and interests. And as the springboard for this discussion, we used a Holderness family Instagram reel about what happens to our interests once we hit midlife. And if you're not familiar with them, here's a brief description of the Holderness family. They are American internet personalities best known for their Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube channels, and they have over 5 million combined subscribers and over 1 billion total views. So what they do is they create family-centered parodies, skits, and vlogs. So it's a husband and wife team. Sometimes they show their 2 kids, but mostly it's a husband and wife team, and they just are so great at taking things that we can all relate to in regular life and poking fun and making us laugh at them. And that's what today is about. We are going to be laughing at the things that we find ourselves becoming interested in, or hobbies that we find ourselves exploring that we would have never given 2 thoughts to when we were younger. So when I sent this reel to you, Mindy and Julie, what did you think?
Well, I died laughing. If you're not a fan of the Holderness family, I highly recommend you find them, and because they'll keep you laughing for sure. And I think the first time I saw them, it was a parody of one of the Hamilton songs, because the man can really sing. He's got a great voice.
Yeah.
But now it has turned into a little more midlife things, I guess, as their
Right.
kids are getting older. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
very relatable. In fact, it hit a little too close to home.
Well, I feel like I had just come off of recording the episode where I talked about not wanting to listen to club music in my minivan, and that I wanted to hear the birds sing and look at the sun, shine through the trees and the peace. And literally you sent us this, Marie, and I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm not the only one watching birds.
That's right.
Or whatever. It just cracked me up. And it's funny because like both of you, I'm finding their reels a lot more relatable. And even Bryce sent me one the other day, and we were laughing so hard about it because we still have 2 teenage sons, one in college and one in high school. And literally the slang, teenage slang continues to change at monumental speed. And the Holdernesses did a reel about where they just talked slang to one another.
Mm-hmm.
And then they actually, at the end, they showed their kids watching their reel and reacting to the slang. And it was the funniest, cutest thing. It hit us exactly where we are right now in our family. So anyways, huge fans of the Holderness family.
Yes, they are really funny.
Well, can you describe the video, Marie?
Yes. So this particular video starts out with the woman, Kim. She's going to be turning 50. And they put her in a little skit, and she is going to the Department of Everyone Ages, DEAD, dead, to find out what she'll be interested in once she turns 50. And they have this spinning wheel, kind of like a roulette wheel, where what is it going to land on? And the different categories are birds, quilting, genealogy, gardening. And when it spins for her, it is birds. And she's like, birds? I mean, they're fine, but I've never really been interested in them. And then throughout the course of the skit, she looks in her purse and there's binoculars, and all of a sudden she knows the names of birds and she can identify them. And it just kind of shows how your interests will change. And then her husband goes to the Department of DEAD, and the only choice on his roulette wheel is World War II documentaries or books.
Yeah, every slot is World War II documentary.
Yes. And so apparently middle-aged men are only interested in World War II. And that is so funny.
Because it's so true.
So anyways, we thought that it would be fun to do an episode on how we've seen our own interests and hobbies change. And I thought that it was cute, the comments. We also want to talk about some of the comments. But one of the comments said, turning 50 is a little late for some of these interests to be changing, because that means if it's true midlife, you're planning to live to 100. I mean, really, like, these
Right.
interests can start taking effect in your 30s
Mhm.
because, like, some people were writing, "I'm only in my 30s and I'm already interested in this." So yes, it's anyone that finds their interests changing in ways that they would have like, if you were 20, you are, by and large, not interested in birds. Like, if I was to say to my twins, "Do you even know the name of one bird?" They would be like, "A robin?" And even today, I
Right.
mean, I might know the names of 5 birds. So I'm really not in the bird category yet, but it's just funny that things that we can't even comprehend that we might be interested in at one point, suddenly we start thinking about. So
Well, and on the
Mhm.
other hand, apparently millennials have been kind of into this stuff for years. Like it is a trendy thing for young people to be interested in this. I think they call it granny hobbies.
Okay.
So there are
Yes.
people out there on the younger end who are interested in this. And, I don't know if that
Mhm.
was maybe through COVID or how it all happened, but they
Maybe that
are out
ties
there and I know a few.
Okay.
Yes. I wonder if it possibly ties into the whole development of the trad wives movement, like this whole traditional wife, like, grower of your own food thing,
Mm,
Could
that
be.
maybe it
yeah.
comes out of that, like,
Yeah.
of the earth.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Back to the pioneer days.
Yes.
Well, either way, I think we should start out saying, what are some of the things that you're finding yourself interested in? You don't even have to have dived totally into it, but what are you interested in today that really held no interest to you when you were younger?
Well, I will jump in on the birding thing. I think they call it
Mhm.
birding instead of bird watching now. But my son's girlfriend is in her late 20s and totally into birds. And she knows every bird by song, every bird visually, she can recognize them. And she took me on a walk in Radnor Lake a few weeks ago. And I didn't see a single bird until she pointed it out.
Mm.
And then they were just everywhere. I mean, it was so amazing, and I took all these pictures, and then I came home and posted it, and then so that's why I said this just hit kinda close to home because it's a little embarrassing that this is what I am now posting pictures of, birds and trees, you know?
It's beautiful.
And I would not have been interested in that in my 20s or 30s.
Mhm.
No.
No. In my family, it's kind of been a running joke. I have never liked anything with a bird on it. For some reason, their eyes gross me out or something. Do they not
Yeah.
blink? I'm not sure. But anyways, I've never liked birds. Like my mom would laugh, like if she was going to buy me something, it couldn't have a bird on it. And then I think maybe over the last 10 years, I did start to buy a few pictures that had a bird in them or some home decor that might have a bird on it. And she would come over, she'd be like, "You're not into birds. Like, why do you have this bird thing? You hate birds." I'm like, "Well, I don't know if I hate birds. I mean, I liked that thing." But anyways, so it's always been kind of funny. And now I find my attitude softening towards birds. I can't say that I'm really interested in watching them, but my parents love birds, and they have a bird feeder outside their kitchen window, and they'll sit and play their games and look at the birds, or they'll call me and say, like, what birds they saw, or if they go on vacation, I have to go and make sure that I change the bird bath water and fill up the bird seed. And so I just think it's funny because they've said so many times, like, how much pleasure they get from birds. And so with my softening towards birds, I wonder if in 15 more years, maybe I'll have a bird feeder outside my window. I don't know.
I know, like you, Maria, I was afraid of birds. I had friends that liked birds, 10 years ago, and I just don't like birds. I mean, they just kinda creep me out. I got pecked in the head once by a bird, and I just have never really been fond of them. But I'm kinda wondering if there's a ratio of how many kids you have at home to how much you like birds, because people that don't have children or don't have children at home anymore seems to be the ones that find this hobby, you know?
Really? Okay.
Like,
Wow.
I mean, if you've got 3 or 4 kids running around at home,
Yeah.
you don't have time to watch birds and notice them
No.
and learn their songs, So I think, young people that maybe don't have kids yet,
Uh-huh.
and then the ones that have launched them from their home are the people who have time for this.
Right.
Yeah. This kind of emerged for me when we moved to this house because we are surrounded by trees. We're in a neighborhood, but it's actually very private around our home. And it's such a peaceful environment. there's just not a lot of noise here. Like you're not hearing sirens. We don't hear our neighbors. We don't hear ambulances or airplanes or anything like that. And so sitting outside here, all you hear is birds.
Mm.
And so it is very apparent that that's all that there is. And Abby, even when she comes to our house, comments how peaceful and quiet it is and how she can hear birds. So literally, it's at this house that we're starting to notice them. And the other day, I was literally trying to snooze in one of my outdoor chairs, and these black crows were so loud, I had to go inside.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, can you guys get your stuff together? Because I'm trying to sleep.
Last night, I was sitting on my front porch trying to do some continuing education, and it was on my phone, so I had to have the volume up,
Uh-huh.
And this one tiny little bird was in our tree, and it was so loud. I mean, I had to keep turning up my volume.
Yes.
And so I got out my Merlin app. Do either one of you have the Merlin app?
Oh, no, I
No.
haven't done that yet.
Okay, so it told me exactly what it was, and I thought, well, I probably won't forget that. It was a little song sparrow, but
Wow.
yeah.
I know
Okay,
there's
little
some that are
little trivia here. My son's girlfriend said that certain birds have the ability to sing louder, like around, like if there's airplanes flying over or car noises, like birds in cities can sing louder to be heard.
Really?
They have the ability to get louder and louder and
That's
louder.
really
This bird
cool.
was so loud. Yeah.
Hey, some are so annoying. So, and I don't know what they are yet, but there are some that are quite annoying out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. So, what are some other things that you found yourself interested in? Mindy, is there anything you found yourself interested in? You don't even have to have dived into it, but you find yourself softening or wanting to learn more about it.
Well, this has been a growing interest for some time, and it just continues to grow, and that's gardening.
Mm.
It's for Bryce, I'm going to put men in a separate category, and he can have one thing under his name, and the name is grass.
Okay.
He wants beautiful grass.
Yeah.
His lawn has become very important. And when we walk outside, he notices every new weed
Okay.
in the lawn. Okay, now our interest has gone into or continued to cultivate in shrubs, flowers, roses. The health of the soil is a new development that has not been there before. So we're buying things like lime, sand, more fertilizer, learning what we need to do to make everything beautiful on the surface, but we're looking deeper now than we ever have before. So definitely gardening. And I would say this is something that Abby teases me about. She knows no names for any flowers, so she calls everything jokingly, "Oh, is that a chrysanthemum lily?" That's what she says for literally every flower, and it's a joke because she doesn't know the name. And she's already saying, "I know this is in my future, but I'm not there yet."
Uh-huh.
So everything in her book is a chrysanthemum lily, which is not even a thing. I don't think.
Yeah.
I should probably look that up. But no, knowing the names of trees, knowing, what colors they turn in the fall, knowing what they do in the spring, and knowing when things come to life. I love it. And I only love it more. This was something also my mom mentioned that she loved. I asked her to share some of her hobbies that she has grown into in midlife. And along with gardening was gardening tools.
Mm.
Um,
I can
so
see that.
she reminds me of Julie in this way. She's getting more powerful and more powerful power tools. She said once my dad realized she wasn't going to kill him, he started letting her use things.
Yes. That's
Oh,
really
that's
neat.
funny.
Yeah, I think you in a recent episode you said she just bought her own chainsaw, so she is
Yes.
Oh my
getting more
goodness.
powerful tools.
Yeah, she said, "Yeah, your dad lets me use the miter saw now that he knows I'm not going to hurt us."
Oh, I'm jealous. Miter saw.
Oh, are you Julie? Julie knows what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. I would definitely say that gardening, I did not have any interest in landscaping or gardening when my kids were young. I can remember it was all we could do just to get the lawn mowed. And maybe it's sad to say, but every year it would be a yearly fight on when we should mulch. I wanted to mulch earlier, and Steve would keep putting it off, and we would always end up getting in a fight, and finally he would go and get a truckload of mulch and do it. But it was like a once-a-year thing. And then also trimming of the bushes. I would want them trimmed at least once a year. So, but we just did not have enough time to worry about our lawn. Keeping the lawn mowed was all the bandwidth that we had. And then it was around maybe, my first 2 left for college and my other 3 were teenagers. And I found myself getting a little more interested in maybe having some potted flowers outside in the spring and summer. Like, this was very basic. I remember I went to Lowe's with my mom and we picked out begonias and pots. I mean, my 3 younger ones were teenagers by the time I even had a pot outside my door. I just did not have any bandwidth for that. And then it's just kind of slowly grown. We actually tore out some bushes and put in something different. Like, we started to think about what we might want. Now, Steve is not interested in it at all. And so in COVID, I found out that I could do all my own mulching if I just got pine straw. So now we never have a fight about it because I do all my own mulching. And if I don't, in this house, I can't have all pine straw, but I just go ahead and buy the bags and he will, help me load and unload them from the truck. But yeah, I mean, I take care of all that now. I decide, I go to the Lowe's clearance rack and pick out whatever I want to try. I don't mind taking care of that, and I really enjoy it. Like, it's very satisfying, and I get a lot of pleasure out of it. And I even find myself doing to my kids what my mom used to do to me, like, "Oh, did you see these lilies are blooming?" Or, "Look at how pretty." And I know they're thinking, "Oh my goodness, this is such a boring topic of conversation." But I just want to point it out to somebody.
I remember going to John's aunt's house and you had a little tour of the garden before you settled in, for the visit.
Yes.
You had to see what was blooming and what came back this year. And
Uh-huh.
Yes.
yeah.
That's what we do with my mom. When we're at her house, we walk her yard. When she's at our house, we walk the yard.
Yes. I
So
can remember
funny.
when we would visit my parents and they had kind of like a little mini farm. I mean, we'd have to go on a tour of my mom's herb garden. Then we'd go on a tour of my dad's vegetable garden. Then we would look at other things they had planted around the house. I mean, it's just so funny
Yes.
that I am now at that stage.
Yes. I mean, if I could tell this, what's on my camera roll? Pictures of my flowers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We sat out. My kids were over the other night and we sat out. We were on the back porch, which has a screen, but we had opened that and gone down to the yard to look at the plants.
Mhm.
And then I look around and we're sitting in rocking chairs,
Yeah.
Mhm.
rocking, talking about the flowers. My mom comes out and she was like, "What is going on here? Like, why are y'all down there?" Like, it just seems so odd that we were, looking at plants. But I can say that I don't love gardening. I love my yard to look pretty
Mhm.
and I
Yeah.
love the effects, but I just
Yeah.
do it because it has to be done. You know what I'm saying? I haven't really gotten into it as to where I don't really feel comfortable knowing what makes this grow or why this is dying or,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't
So
say that I'm quite to that level, but well, I know I'm not quite to that level, but what I did was I found somebody to take care of our grass who then tells me exactly what to do, like what
Yeah.
inches to mow it, when to keep the bag on and when not to, how much to water it. And
Mhm.
I'm very good about following the instructions. If someone
Mhm.
tells me what I need to do to keep it healthy, I'm more than willing to follow the instructions.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, let me tell
Yep.
you, this has been such a process for us because we have lived in different climates, environments, and our grass and things that will grow has changed dramatically. I mean, think about the difference between Middle Tennessee to the Northeast to the Southeast, right?
Yeah.
It is so different. And literally, for our 25th anniversary, when we went to Arizona, we were talking almost constantly about the environment, the plants, the desert, the
Mhm.
cactus, the things that grew. And so everywhere I go, we're looking at, ooh, what kind of lawn do they have here?
Oh, yeah.
And so we talk about things like that. But let me tell you, like, I think because God speaks so clearly to me as I look at my yard. Um, this is funny, but also this is very true. There's a tree that he has been testifying to me through this tree. And I'm not even joking. But when this tree came to life this spring, I cried.
Oh.
I'm not even joking. Okay. That's a whole story of what God is teaching me in life. But when the tree came to life, I literally
Aw.
cried.
Uh-huh.
So I love
Yeah.
I love my yard, and I'm looking for the Lord to speak to me through these plants.
Mindy, I haven't even thought about the stress on a marriage of moving to different plant zones.
Oh,
You're in
Right.
Ooh, sometimes we're like, man, we missed that grass in Tennessee. That was good. That fescue, man.
well, like some things aren't going to survive the winter in Pennsylvania that would survive here. And you have to know
Yes.
all that and relearn all
I
that.
know. And there's things up in the Northeast, like hydrangeas are more beautiful because they go
Mhm.
through a colder winter.
Mhm.
Crabapple trees are more beautiful because they need the cold.
Mhm.
Um, you would think everything would be gorgeous in the Southeast, but it's not because, anyways.
The heat.
See,
Yeah.
I could just talk all day.
Okay.
I love gardening.
Well, when I was thinking about what are some things that have piqued my interest in midlife, I came across this Instagram reel that said, you hit middle age and you're sorted into one of 4 houses: pickleball, sourdough, plants, or running. And it's so funny because I'm interested in 3 out of the 4. Like, I got
Yeah.
super interested in pickleball as soon as, I think my last one went to college. All of a sudden, Steve and I were like, we're going to learn to play pickleball. That's going to be our thing we do together. And then sourdough, just this spring, I started making my own sourdough bread. And then plants, we just had a whole discussion of how we found ourselves interested in plants. Now, I don't see myself taking up running,
Mm-mm.
but you
No.
never should say never.
Mm-mm.
I'm going to say never.
I'm going to mark off running for the
Yeah.
3 of us and just put walking.
Right.
And I think we would all say yes. And did you notice the picture? They're all wearing weighted vests.
Yes.
Yes, I did. It's like, there's Mindy's vest.
I was just out walking this morning with my weighted vest. I was like, oh my gosh. And you sent us that. I'm like, yep, that's what I look like. And Marie, why did you have to bring up the sourdough bread? Bryce heard you talk about it. Do you know what he wants us to do now?
Learn to do
Make
sourdough.
Yes. He's like, hey, Mindy, maybe talk to Marie about that recipe.
That's so funny.
Thanks, Marie.
Yeah, I had to die laughing at the sourdough because since Marie started baking it, she had me over one night and taught me how to make it. And so now, my kitchen is consumed with sourdough bread. And I'm
yes.
making it. I'm stocking up in the freezer. I'm giving it to my son. I'm taking it on my trip to Colorado.
Oh,
It's like my
wow.
life it's kind of revolving around bread because I couldn't go a week without my bread. So I think that's funny because I did not get on that train, during COVID. And so,
Well,
Yeah.
but it's a worthwhile thing. It's so good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know we're going to cover more things that we're interested in, even just through talking about the comments. But I wanted to see if you've tried any hobbies in midlife and maybe you didn't think they were for you. Did you explore something and then say, I know a lot of people like this, but I don't know if it's for me yet? Because we don't want to say never.
I did
Okay.
one. Well, actually, I started playing mahjong with a friend, and she taught me kind of a simplified version of it. And then, and we still play that version with our kids. Like, it's really fun. We'll probably take that on vacation and play it. But I went to a mahjong club in my neighborhood, and they were super serious, and it was much more complicated. And, they play for 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon. And that was not for me.
Okay.
It's kind of a fun, you kind of have to be all in to play that game. It can take a long time to learn and get good at, and I'm just not there yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Mahjong was on my list of, so you had us over one day to try, Julie. And if that was the simplified version, I'd hate to see what the complicated version is.
Oh,
because,
Marie, it's like 100 times more complicated.
Because I think that everybody at the table at your house was like, we don't understand. We do not understand. And so, yes, in our neighborhood, Mahjong has become really popular. And I know a couple people that have gone to a Mahjong boot camp. So it's like, I don't know, it's several hours over a 2-day period of playing. And they said they learned a lot. I think that's probably what I would have to do if I was really going to get into it. And I'm not ruling Mahjong out. I mean, in the comments, a lot of people did say they've gotten interested in Mahjong. One thing I tried last year that wasn't really for me, even though I love it, like I love cards and I really do like canasta, but I tried being in a canasta group where I would go once a week every Tuesday afternoon and maybe you'd play from like 1 to 4. But for me at this point in my life, I didn't feel like I was ready to commit one afternoon a week to cards. I guess maybe I'm just not quite there yet as far as, because I know there'll come a time where I am. And that's one of the things that stresses me out a little bit about Mahjong, because when I hit those retirement years, or in quotes, the retirement home, I'm worried that everyone else will know how to play Mahjong and I'll be shut out. Because no, because like my mom, one of the things that she's been super thankful that she did when she was probably my age was the local library offered bridge classes for free. And you could go over a few months worth of time and you learn to play bridge. And she'd never played before in her life. And I think bridge is a little complicated. But it has opened up so many doors for her over the past 15 or 20 years because she's gotten involved in like her neighborhood bridge group, her church bridge groups. If you didn't know how to play, you wouldn't have been able to just join. Like they're not going to teach you. And so that's what I feel like Mahjong might be the bridge game of our generation. And so I'm a little bit cognizant of the fact that I might need to learn when I'm young in order to be able to have fun when I'm older. Have you guys ever thought about that?
No.
Marie's worried about future FOMO.
No.
Oh, that is a real thing, though. I do understand what you're saying because we know we need community. And especially as we get older, you're worried you might not be able to keep up your pickleball game, maybe.
Hey.
I don't know. I think you're going to be 90 playing pickleball, Marie. I really don't think I see you slowing down.
Well, I think what I didn't like about cards and Mahjong is I'm not ready for a 4-hour daytime thing that keeps me inside, you know? I would have if it was an evening group, I would have probably been more likely to enjoy it right now. But you're right. Someday I will be looking for those daytime fillers.
Yes. I think that was one of the things for me about cards is I'm not ready to give up an afternoon for it. I would be willing to give up like evening, like maybe 2 times a month or something. But I'm just not quite ready to take out a whole day and say, this is my card playing day.
Yeah.
But I could see myself getting there at some point.
Sure. I have a harder time thinking about this because I haven't had as much time. I'm not even to empty nest yet. So like my stage in life is still just a bit different. I'm still in the school schedule. So a lot more freedom these days, but it's still in that. We got 1 more year. But, I was thinking about things that I remember women really getting into, and scrapbooking was one of those things that was huge. Like before Mahjong, I feel like everybody like scrapbooking got huge. And then I'll just go ahead and add crafts into that same category, crafting. All of my crafts are crap. When I hear the word craft, just change it to crap because it is not good. This is not me. I'm not going to sit around doing that. I wish, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I too much need to move and be active and be outside, and I'd rather listen to the birds sing or whatever. So that's something I can't ever see that being me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's different things that I have tried that would be considered like granny hobbies. And I have enjoyed them, but they haven't like become a thing that I've gone all in on, like knitting. My daughter in high school wanted to learn to knit. So someone at our church taught us, and I think Lydia made one scarf, and that was the last I ever heard of her wanting to knit. And I learned how to make these little dish towel scrubby things. And that's the only thing that I knit. And I'm perfectly fine only knowing how to make one thing. And I probably only knit every few months, like maybe when my dish towel scrubby things wear out and I want to make myself some new ones, or maybe I'm on a plane. Like I'm never gonna, well, I shouldn't say never. At this point in my life, I'm not gonna look up like how to make a baby blanket or baby booties or a sweater, even though my grandmother made gorgeous things like that and tried to teach me every summer when she would come and visit. I'm just not at the point of being super interested in that. But I do think that maybe you can dabble in some of these hobbies and just kind of pick and choose to the level that you want to do them.
I'm the queen of dabbling.
Okay.
The queen of dabbling. I looked up hobbies that I have done. I wrote them all down, and there's about 17 that I currently, have going that I'm dabbling in. And I do think at this point I have to watch that it makes me very sedentary. If I were to get all into it, then I would just be doing that and sitting all day. And there are many days that, trust me, that I do that. But then I know that's not good. So I have to, because I tend to want to get all into something if I do it.
Right.
So then I just kind of back off. But one of the things that I said I would never do and that I have started, this really surprised me. And of course, it was on the list, was quilting.
Oh.
I said, I never care to make a quilt. Like, I don't even really like quilts that much. And I had a friend a couple years ago said, hey, there's this free quilting class. Would you like to take it with me? And I just said, no, I just don't. Well, I really don't. And then it just kind of hit me. I think the Lord just gave this to me. I was in my closet and I see all of John's gorgeous cotton patterned shirts. I mean, he loved colorful, like he has lots of ginghams, like the colors of the rainbow.
Okay.
And I don't know what to do with them. I don't want to give them away. I don't want to sell them. And my kids don't want them. So I just like, what can I do with that? And it just hit me that this is what quilting fabric, this is super nice quilting fabric.
Yeah.
So I have been cutting up his shirts into fabric and then making quilting squares. And I'm going to make 2 throw quilts.
That's so cool, Julie.
The intention is to have some twin beds for my grandkids, and then at the foot of each bed have a quilt. Now these are going to look more like girl quilts than boy quilts because he liked brightly colored, shirts. But I mean, the shirts are just gorgeous, and so I love that I'm touching them and folding them and cutting them and just getting to see them and putting them to good use.
Yes, I really think that all your kids are going to want a quilt, so I think you're going to be making more than 2.
Wow.
Well,
How
I guess.
Genius. I love that. Giving new life to something like that. And if John was man enough to wear those colors, your grandsons are man enough to sleep in those beds.
I'm trying to pick the reds, the blues, the greens. Maybe you don't put the pink ones in there,
Listen, they can be Southern gentlemen. All these men here in the South wearing all the pastel pinks and purples and yellows and greens.
Oh, that's really cool. I can remember my mom quilting in midlife, and we lived in the North at the time, and I remember all winter she would quilt. And so she would be watching TV or sitting in the evening by a lamp and have the quilt covering her. That was really her warmth, but yet she was also working on it at the same time. So I have fond memories of quilting. I haven't quite said, boy, I would like to be into quilting, but I could see how that would be appealing at a certain point.
Yeah, my mom even laughed and said, Julie, isn't that a wintertime thing? Because she remembers that too of her mom.
Oh, wow.
And I said, well, I don't think that really applies anymore. I mean, it's 68 degrees in here in the summer. I'm always cold, so it'll be fine. But I have no schedule. Like you might talk to me in a year and I haven't finished, but that's okay.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
I have a purpose. I have a plan for these shirts.
Right. Oh, well, that's good. That's really good.
Well, I do have something I did think about in this category of online gaming. Okay, there's a lot in this category. I'll say online, but also on your phone.
Okay.
Gaming.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm going to put those together because I remember making fun of my parents when they, like, the Farmville thing got really big.
Oh.
They're like, I got to go feed my cows, or whatever on the computer.
Yeah.
And they're doing this. And so, but now I find myself sitting outside listening to the birds doing Wordle.
Okay.
I was like, doing all these word games. And I know my mom loves to do crossword puzzles. She is so smart.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, she buys the large print crossword puzzles now, but she likes paper. So she always has a book with a pen in it at our house. Literally, she is the queen. And so when I get stuck on the mini crossword, it's not even that big. I'm like, my mom would know this. And so here I am enjoying these games, like, and they're short right now, but I can see this growing because even my mother-in-law, like, she'll play solitaire on her phone. So like just different things that you play on your phones, and they have notifications. My parents, both of our parents, have got loud notifications that'll ding and go off if they need to do something. And I'm like, clearly making fun of them. And they're just like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
I love crossword. My mom always has a crossword puzzle going. She has the real books. She loves them.
Yes.
And
Yes.
last year at the beach, my middle child had a crossword book, and I thought, this is really unusual. But it was
Ooh.
fun to sit there as a group and say, hey, what's the word for blah, 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 and then
Yes.
people would shout out the answer. I really do enjoy kind of a collaborative. I wouldn't enjoy just sitting there by myself, but it's
Me
kind
too.
of fun to work on together.
Agreed, Julie, because I always need help.
Yeah, I never know.
Well, in the comments, people wrote that they find themselves interested in puzzles and
Puzzles, yes.
word games, things that they would not have seen themselves doing, but now they find themselves turning their attention to it. So I think that's kind of funny. Is there anything that you have on your list that you haven't tried yet, but you know that you would like to try? Like you've reserved it for a future you?
The only thing on my list because literally everything I listed, I have tried, but the only thing I haven't tried is genealogy.
Okay.
I don't know how interested I am. My dad did that for our family, and he did it for his mother's family, and so we have it all the way back to our patriot, from the Revolutionary War, and he even had a book printed and everything. So
Wow.
that's done. So I kind of don't feel the need to.
Yeah.
I'm glad he did it, but I won't say never. Maybe I'll get interested in that someday.
Yeah. I actually have a list in this category of things
Okay.
I know I'm going to love. And these might spark some things for you guys as I name them, but that I'm just not there yet. So pickleball is in this category for me.
Okay.
I love games. I love to be physical, to be outside. I just don't have an opportunity right now. So let's see. Pickleball, traveling. I cannot wait to do some more traveling and see a lot more things. Grandchildren. I can't wait to have grandchildren, and that will be a hobby for me. Tennis and golf. These are on the list. Bryce is already loving the game of golf. And I know that to continue to do things with him, I need to get better and I need to be willing. So because I love him and want to spend time with him, I'm going to need to golf.
Okay.
So those are definitely quick things on my list.
Those are good because I think it's good to look ahead to what you and your husband will both be interested in, because it is kind of good if you can pick something that you both get pleasure out of. As your kids move out, then you at least have that in common as a topic of conversation, of interest, of things to plan for, whether it's gardening or traveling or a sport or whatever, cards or games, just to have that commonality is good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's turn our attention to some of the comments because these comments were really funny. So what were some of the things that you saw people say about midlife?
Well, one hobby that none of us have mentioned was the weather.
Oh, yeah.
And this was the funniest comment. Apparently her husband has all the weather apps. And he talks about all the different factors of the weather, like the wind, the humidity, the dew point, the whatever, And this was so funny because it pertained to how the little roulette wheel, chose your hobby. And she goes, well, my husband got weather. She goes, I don't even care. I wish he had gotten birds instead.
Oh, that's funny.
Like the hobby was given to him. He had no choice.
Yeah. Bummer.
I liked this comment. I've had the same hobbies since I was a teenager. I can just afford more of them now. And I just thought about like dabblers like Julie and to some extent myself. Now, if I want to try a hobby, it's not a usually super big amount of an investment. I'll just pick it up and like see if I like it. And so it is funny that a lot they say like what you were interested in when you were 10 is a lot of times what you're interested in when you're an adult. And so, yes, like some of those things, I mean, I'm still interested in. I was interested in like cross stitching and learning to knit when my grandmother would come in the summer and like handcrafts. And my mom was always very crafty and my mom painted and like my parents gardened, like all the things I saw the adults around me doing, I'm now interested in.
Yeah, I was always interested in the crafty stuff. So that's always been a part of my life. But you're right. Now you have more time and a lot of people have more free income when they don't have kids at home, so they can invest in hobbies.
Right.
I liked this one. Paint by numbers. I feel seen and attacked.
Yes, several people mentioned paint by numbers. I didn't realize this was a hobby for people. Did you guys know that?
Well, I bought one during COVID, and I think I could learn how to oil paint and paint a masterpiece before I could ever get that thing done. I mean, it was the tiniest little things with, lots of colors. I never did it. But it was on a canvas. It was I think it would be really pretty done, but I just never did it.
I just like all the comments. It comes with hair on your upper lip. Like people recognizing you've hit an age where this facial feature is now happening.
Right. Someone else put, you forgot dogs becoming your personality.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people do get into like rescuing pets or volunteering at the humane shelter or get a dog for the first time in midlife. That's what I did. I mean, I do think that pets can sometimes become a new interest.
Right.
I thought it was funny how many people related to the World War II documentary stuff, which my husband was always interested. It wasn't a midlife thing, but I am too. So Band of Brothers is one of my favorite things to rewatch every year. So
someone put, you forgot crochet and I'm considering community theater. I'm 54 and thought it was just me. And you guys, I have never been once. Well, one time I tried out for a school play, but I've never been interested in theater. But now when I go to see a play, I'm like, I would love to be in that. I would love to do that. I didn't even put that together, that could be like a midlife interest. Do they have community theater for people in midlife that are just starting out?
I'm sure they do.
All I can see in my head is Frankie Heck.
Oh, yes.
I know.
That's
in The Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
Learning a second language. That was another comment. And I haven't done this, but I would be super interested in doing it if there was any language that I felt like I'd have to seek out people to talk with. But if I had a natural way to talk with people, I can remember my mom in midlife took Spanish lessons for years. She would have a weekly Spanish lesson. Now, the problem is that she would have to try to seek out people to speak Spanish with. But if there was something natural, like it was a part of your job or you were going into some kind of immersion thing on a regular basis, I would totally love to learn a second language.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that on my list because when I did that volunteer night at that health clinic, the thought that ran through my head every minute was, man, I wish I knew Spanish. Because we didn't have an interpreter that night. And so we were having to use like Google Translate. And, it was just very frustrating. It'd be so nice to know another language.
Right.
And I think we would have plenty of opportunities here to use it.
Yeah. I liked this one. It's my favorite part of midlife. I'm not even embarrassed. Birds and gardens and needle arts. There's not enough time for all the hobbies I want to try. And I secretly feel that way too. Like, I love that you can get to a point in life where you can just try things, and it's so fun to be able to pick and choose different things to try and see what you like. And that's kind of what we do for our kids when they're younger. We're like, what sport do you want to try? Or do you want to try this art class? Or let's, what about this summer camp that's all about whatever topic that they're interested in, science or sports or whatever. And now in midlife, you get to experience that again, kind of like a kid, like, oh, I could go to a Mahjong boot camp, or I could take pickleball lessons, or I could go to a quilting class, or, like you can learn to do things again.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever feel though, like this is what I struggle with, a little bit of guilt, like I should focus in on something and quit the dabbling. Like find something that I like and like get better at it and become good and maybe find a use for it or
I do sometimes struggle with that, but I also can't stop myself from wanting to try new things. So it's
Right.
kind of a little point of tension in my own mind. But I just know that once I have to get good at something or get serious about it or like have to try to make money at it, I'm no longer interested in it. Like
That's
then it's
true.
not
It takes
fun
the
anymore.
joy out.
So I've kind of accepted that about
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
A few people mentioned podcasting.
You saw some people mention podcasting?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah.
Somebody mentioned bees, that they're into bees now.
I would love
I'm
to
like,
do that.
I'm kind of wondering, it piqued my curiosity because I have a cousin that actually, he does this like 45 minutes from where I live right now.
Mm-hmm.
And what piqued my interest is Bryce just planted our whole berm, and we have both been commenting on how excited we are because it's invited all the bees. There's so many bees and butterflies in the berm with the varieties of plants that he planted, and we've been so thrilled about it. So I don't know, maybe that's in our future.
Yeah.
That was a running joke because if you knew John, the one thing he was terrified of was bees.
Bees.
And so I always said that I wanted to be a beekeeper. And he was like, nope, not going to happen.
Yeah. One comment that came up over and over again, they kept saying that you forgot books. And I've always been interested in books. Maybe some people only pick up reading in midlife. But one comment someone wrote that they are in 4 book clubs. I've also been in book clubs when I'm younger, but I thought it was funny last year in our neighborhood, they put out on the Facebook neighborhood site, is there anyone that wants to be in a book club? And there were probably, I don't know, over 100 comments of people that wanted to be in a book club, a neighborhood book club. And they also said in there, do you want to be in one or would you be willing to lead one? So I put in my comment that I wanted to be in one or I would be willing to lead one. So I got contacted and I was sent the names of 12 people. And I kept thinking to myself, it's so amazing. Like when we finally got together, everybody's around the same age. Like there's no young people in this book club. Like, I mean, I was fine that we were all around the same age, but I thought, how did she know how did she know how old we were just by our names? Like, did she look at everybody's Facebook profile? Or how did she know that? And then my daughter was like, Mom, it's because only people your age are interested in the book club. I was like, oh, that makes total sense. But at the time, I just didn't know how she was able to break it up into all people my age.
You're just amazed she knew all that.
Well, it's funny because I have a neighbor that has a book club and she's very young. And, and I notice when they come to her house, they're all really young. But I've talked to several people in that book club and most people say, yeah, I don't usually read the books.
Nice.
It's a social thing. You know what I mean?
My goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I do love all of the women that are outing their husbands on there about the World War II documentaries. Another common theme that I saw for them mentioning their husbands was smoked meat.
Yeah.
Again, when we moved to this house, it has an outdoor kitchen. We would have never spent the money to put in an outdoor kitchen, but that thing has been used so much over the past 4 years, and I love it. And so now I happily will go to the butcher and buy meat so that Bryce can cook it, smoke it, whatever. And it's a new hobby for him. And so, okay, something I didn't see though, but don't you guys remember all the old men at the beach with metal detectors?
Yes.
Metal detectors. Oh, that's
what
funny.
happened to metal detectors?
My dad did that. Yeah.
Yeah. My grandpa did that. Old men and metal detectors. That
That's
is
true.
the look for the beach. And But I had to have an honorable mention for metal detectors.
Yes. That's funny.
I looked up some hobbies. I didn't see these in the comment, but I just looked up like, what are other people doing? And I
Mhm.
did see candle making on the list. So I thought, okay, I'm
Ooh,
not alone
check.
in this.
There you go.
Thrifting. I thought, okay, I love doing
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
Photography. I always loved like nature photography. And one of them was launching a special interest Instagram account. I thought, how niche is that? Because that's exactly what I did,
You
Oh,
did.
yeah.
4 years ago. I
Yeah.
didn't know this was a common thing, but I thought that was funny. But yeah, there's calligraphy. I've tried that. I'm not very good at that. I saw volunteering on there. I don't really
Yeah.
consider that a hobby.
What about baking your special cookies? What are those cookies called?
Oh yeah, like decorating
Mm.
royal icing cookies. Yeah,
Yes.
that was so long ago that that was definitely something I did for a season and then tried to make it into something, like that I could sell, and that's when it died. It got
Got
too
it.
stressful,
Yeah.
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 But I wonder if that's on the list of things that people are trying.
I think cookie and cake decorating, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of cake decorating, yeah.
Something I thought about, it's almost one of these things, it's like, tell me you're old without telling me you're old. And it's women that go into an antique shop, any sort of antiquing. Like, when I was younger, I would go with my mom, like, "Okay, who wants to look at this? It smells weird. It smells musty and moldy, and
Mhm.
oh my gosh, why is that, like, janky dresser, like,
Right.
$500?" You know?
Right.
And now, like, I'd walk in, and I'm like, "Wow, look at that beautiful wood. I've never seen mahogany that's that old and in such good condition. Ooh, that's cheap for $500."
Yeah, look at that
You know?
patina. You used the word
Wow,
patina.
I know, I know.
Hiking, that's always been a hobby, for a
Yes.
long time, but, I do think hiking is becoming I've seen that hiking groups are starting to become a thing.
Oh,
Mm,
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably like running groups or things like that.
Mhm. I've
I'm sure
tried
you could.
macrame, gave that a whirl.
Oh, you
Oh, yeah,
did.
I remember
You made a
that.
few macrame projects. What made you stop that? Because I guess I'm curious, like, what makes someone stop a hobby?
Well, where else what are you gonna do with the finished product? That was the
Well, true.
once everybody had something, it's like, well,
Well,
Yeah. All right, listeners, we would love to find out what hobbies you've tried in midlife. Inspire us, or even just tell us if you're a total cliche like we are. Doing these 4 houses of sourdough, pickleball, what was the other one? Plants and running. So
mhm.
so
yeah.
who knows? Come and find us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast, or you can email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com. But before we go, we want to do I'm a Fan. All right, Mindy, what are you a fan of this week?
This week, I'm a fan of the same thing I was a fan of a couple weeks ago, but in a different way. So we're
Okay.
gonna say it again. Okay, I mentioned that my new favorite grill mates, the McCormick's grill mates that I use for chicken, is the Hawaiian style barbecue. And now I used it in a different way though. So instead of grilling the chicken, I actually put frozen chicken tenderloins in my crock pot, used the same marinade, and I cooked it in the crock pot. And then I shredded the chicken and added a little barbecue sauce. And we had homemade barbecue chicken sandwiches. And it was the shredded chicken. You guys, it was amazing. It was so easy. It was simple. Again, it's like the flavor of summer, if I could say
Yeah.
that. And so you could use whatever barbecue sauce you wanted to on it, but having it cooked in the crock pot in this marinade gave it,
Mm.
oh my gosh, it gave it everything it needed. And so then, I'm like toasting buns on my skillet and adding sweet pickles, and that sandwich was like heaven.
Yum.
Oh, that sounds really good.
So
Yeah.
the same marinade, but cooked differently.
We've done some episodes in the past of like summer meals. We may need to
Mhm.
revisit something like that
Ooh,
because kind of
Yeah.
scraping the bottom of the barrel on what to make.
yeah. And you hear how simple that is? I
Yes,
mean,
easy. We
it
need
was
Yes.
easy.
so simple.
All
Yes.
right. I love that, Mindy. All right, Julie, what are you a fan of this week?
Okay, I'm a fan of a tea infuser basket that I bought because I tend to stay away from loose teas because I've never liked the tea leaves or the little pieces leak out into my
Mhm.
cup.
Mhm.
Mm.
And then also I just bought some grape tea that's like a fruit tea that has big chunks of apple and stuff, but the bags were defective, so they all broke.
Oh, wow.
So
Oh, no.
I thought, okay, I'm just going to get one of these infusers. And I love it because it's just a stainless steel infuser with a kind of a handle on both sides. So it fits over any size cup. So you
Oh.
just put the loose tea in there, fill it up with water, down in your cup.
Mhm.
And then when you are through with it, you just pick the cup up and you can just dump it out in the trash.
Yeah.
wow.
So it's just a very simple, easy way. It's easy to clean. I had some really cute little silicone ones, but they're difficult to clean. And this is just very easy. So I think I'll buy more loose leaf tea, having this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
that's a great hack.
I
Keeps it
think
clean.
they give that to you in tea rooms too sometimes, don't they? Have I seen that? They might give it to you in your cup when
Probably.
they do, or maybe in the pot. Probably in the pot.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
one that's in a little pot, but it's made for that pot. So I just thought I'm just going to buy one just for my cup. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Mhm.
cool. Yeah.
And I got it on Amazon. It wasn't very expensive, and it's
Oh,
stainless
nice.
steel, and it has a little lid too because you can cover it to make
Okay.
it steep better.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
I'll put a link to that in our show notes.
Okay.
All right. This week I'm a fan of some patterned lampshades. And this was something that my oldest daughter told me was, white lampshades are out, Mom. Now, if you've ever heard us talk, we all have a lot of lamps. So I
Yeah.
cannot go out and replace every one of my lampshades because, believe it or not, these pattern lampshades can run expensive, especially for like a big lamp. But I have seen them over and over. And even if you go to Home Goods, they'll sell some. Now, they may not fit your lamp, but they do sell them. So I was like, oh, well, okay. So I thought, well, I could replace the small lampshades on some of my smaller lamps. So I'm going to link to one that I chose on Amazon. It's a brown floral drum lampshade, and it's only 5 inches on the top, 9 inches on the bottom. So it's not a huge lampshade, but even that lampshade was almost $30. Like, the printed lampshades are not cheap, but they
Oh.
do add a fun factor to your lamps.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you scroll down from there, it'll say you might also like, and then they have other beautiful prints, and they range anywhere from $30 to, if you're having a big lamp, $50. I mean, there's just some really, really pretty patterns, though. So I think
Wow.
I might get a few other printed lampshades here and there. But if you are on the lookout for lampshades, or you just want something fun to look at, you might consider a printed one.
Or you might consider the hobby of covering lampshades. I've watched so many tutorials on how to do that.
Oh, have you, Julie?
Yeah. So you can just cover the ones that you already have.
Well, I don't know if mine would turn out that cute because a lot of these are pleated.
They show you how to
So
do that.
they
Yeah.
show you how to do the pleating and everything.
Not the pleated, but the kind that look like strips. You know what I'm talking about? Like
Okay.
overlapping strips. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, they show you
okay.
how to do that. I've watched a couple.
Interesting.
Oh
Well,
my
Yeah.
gosh.
when you do one, you show us, because if anyone can learn, you can. Now,
Okay.
Yeah.
Mindy is thinking back to earlier in the episode when she said, my crafts are crap. And so
This
she's
is-
not going to try it.
This is what's going through my head. I'm like, I know what mine would look like. I better save up for the ones that I can buy. Listen, you guys, I just found out something else. I had no idea this was a thing. And Abigail says white lampshades are out. Why didn't
Oh,
she tell
yeah.
me? I'm going to need a list, Abigail. Can you please help us?
Well, I know. I don't really know if it would be possible for me to replace every lampshade, just because you'd have to find one that fit. And also, I feel like if I have a lamp, like I have several chinoiserie lamps, and she did replace the white shade on her chinoiserie lamp with a printed one, and it looks adorable. But I feel like if my lamp already has a pattern on the bottom, it's not my first choice to replace. I'm going to go for the more
Mhm.
boring ones that don't have a pattern at the
Right.
bottom. But yes, I mean, you could get into a lot of money replacing all your lampshades.
And some I don't want it to darken the light that's coming through, you know.
True.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
one time I did do the little candelabra shades that are on a chandelier in
Mhm.
Molly's room. I did recover those, and that was
Okay.
super easy. Just some hot glue and
Well, and
Oh.
actually, Julie, those little printed ones for candelabras, that can get really expensive.
they
quick.
are very
They're very
expensive.
expensive. They're small, but they charge a hefty price tag for what you're getting, and you usually need like 5 or 6 or
They can be
could
like
$8.
$30 a piece. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it would be
This isn't-
worth learning to do it yourself.
Mhm. Yeah. New
falls
hobby.
under the category of things I didn't know that I didn't know.
Well, I enjoyed talking with you about hobbies, and I'm sure we will keep each other updated with whatever we try.
Yes.
I need help.
Okay, we'll talk to you next week.
Okay.
Sounds
Bye.
great.
Bye. We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.